Any at all? I have one.
Okay.
How did you end up, what was the defining moment that brought your career to DevOps?
To DevOps. I don't really think it was, there was definitely a defining moment that brought me into testing, but to DevOps I don't think that it was a defining moment per se, such as just because I was doing so much research around it, since I know a lot of people in the software community who themselves are working in DevOps projects. It was just something that I'm already kind of interested in anyway, also obviously with learning about it. So at my company, My One Wolf, at the start of the year, they created a new department for DevOps and Cloud Native. And so when that sort of opportunity came up to really work specifically in these projects, in these environments, I guess it just sort of made sense for me. As I said, at that point, I kind of saw the natural progression from Agile to DevOps, and I was starting to get a real understanding of the benefits of DevOps, CD, stuff like that. And so I just thought, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to learn about and contribute within as well. Yes.
Yeah, so just as a follow-up to what you just said, so you said your company just started a DevOps team, is that correct?
Yes.
What is your view on a DevOps team exactly?
A view on a DevOps team. So I guess in my company, it's a little bit different, actually. I should have been more specific. So it's a consultancy that I work for. So we will go into other companies and help them build and test their own software. So in my company, it's not so much that we have a DevOps team in a unit that then works on the same thing. It's more like we have a team of different DevOps professionals with different specializations and areas of expertise within DevOps, and then we sort of get sold out to other clients and other projects and stuff. So yeah, it's a little bit different in my company.
Thank you very much. What about IT ops in context of DevOps and developers and the business? This is something that interesting.
IT ops?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that's not a term that I've come across before. So I guess I can't really comment on that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, for me also it was a very new one, IT ops. And was like something between DevOps, close maybe to business, close maybe to developers. So in my perspective, IT Ops, this is very close to the business side. DevOps closer to the developers, and developers, well,
right.
In the context of everything. So.
Yes, I've certainly seen these things where the traditional DevOps loop is sort of manipulated to be Dev IT Ops, Dev Biz Ops, Dev Test Ops. And to be honest, where I think that those modifications come from is from people looking at this loop and reading about DevOps and thinking, oh, what about us? Where are we in that? And this is the same thing as happening, for a lot of people in the testing area. They're seeing this new thing coming in. They're seeing companies moving more to DevOps practices, and they're thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to do? So I kind of think it comes from fear a little bit. But I do think that when people really understand the intention behind these methodologies and these movements, about it being more about culture, working together, being more part of a team, then having your department's name specifically in there becomes less important because you're not sticking strictly to some book or some article that someone published once for a completely different context. You take the principles of it and you apply it to your own area, your own space to work in a way that works really, really well for you. I hope you can all understand me, by the way, and I'm not talking too fast. Thanks.
DevOps, in my understanding, brings developers and system administrators closer together, but these are still very technical people. What is happening in a space which brings the technical and the non-technical people more closer together, especially business?
That's a good question, and I think probably from what I've seen that there's not that much focus on it. There's not a lot of discussion, which is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to do this talk, and why, even though as a not super technical person coming from the business side, I thought, maybe there is still something of value that I can add here. Maybe people will still want to talk to me. So I think that while, things like Agile and DevOps feel more like movements, I think there are definitely people, technical and non-technical, in the industry who want to talk to one another, who are really trying, in their own area of influence to build connections. But at the moment, it seems almost, I can't think of the word for it, but it's like it's not so mainstream. It's kind of like people are trying to, not protest, but they're trying to create their own little mini movement to encourage people to get closer together. And I do think that it is really important for us, as individuals, to make an effort to reach out to the people on the other side so that we can all be on the same side.
Anyone else? No? I've got a couple questions from anonymous questions. Kind of linking a bit with what you mentioned. You described yourself also as a UX enthusiast.
Yes.
Is there any common area between DevOps and user-centered design methodologies, and how do you see both disciplines can interrelate?
Can you repeat the question part?
Yeah, I guess I guess I'm the one speaking too fast. Give me just a second. Okay. You described yourself as a UX enthusiast. Is there any commonalities between DevOps and user-centered design methodologies? And how do you see both disciplines interrelating? How do you see the relationship?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure is the honest answer. It's definitely something that I want to think more about, and if whoever asked that question wants to, maybe we can talk about it more. Because that is interesting. I mentioned before that I feel like the ops part is often kind of forgotten about. It's very much like, oh, look at the team who built this feature, not look at the team who deployed, maintained this feature, supported us in actually delivering it to people. And in some ways, I feel like, part of the reason why I'm very passionate about user experience is because every user and even non-users who perceive our product in any way have some sort of perception. They have some sort of experience with our product, with our company, with our brand. And I feel like with operations, with reliability, stability, how new features are rolled out, all of that really impacts the user's experience. There's this thing of people don't notice when it goes well, they just notice when it goes wrong. So I feel like people in operations, they maybe to an extent have to be more conscious about the user and how things will impact the user. So in that respect, I do see maybe more connections there, but also in other ways, obviously developers want to deliver a valuable, useful product and good features as well. So I'm not sure, but I'm very interested to talk about that further at some point.
Okay, and you also lightly touched on this, but in a broad sense. Is there any advice for how to best hire somebody for a DevOps role? The question is, DevOps is a methodology, but sometimes being DevOps becomes just hiring somebody with a DevOps role. So how can you overcome that? How can people better hire for this position? Yeah,
that's definitely one of the things that I saw, even when I was just coming out of recruitment as well, to hire for DevOps, and it's like, is DevOps a role? And I think it's a hard question to answer because of what I mentioned earlier. There are lots of different names for the same thing, but at the same time, there's a lot of different definitions for the same role or for the same title. So I guess I can't answer the question broadly necessarily, but what I would say is that if you're trying to hire someone for some sort of DevOps role or team context, whatever, is to really almost throw away that name and to concentrate more on what is it this person will actually be doing on a day-to-day basis. What do they need to be working on? What experience and skills is it that you really need? And not just things like, oh, you know, we've heard a lot about these technologies, so maybe someone with that technology. But again, going more back to, well, why do we want to use these technologies? What problem will that solve for us? How do we recruit someone who has some of that experience already or is very interested in that? Similarly to what I was saying in my team, where we have people who have different specialities within DevOps, you know, what part specifically is it that you want to hone in on, and just to, be like more specific and more deliberate with what it is that you're actually looking for, so that instead of just being anyone who's looking for a DevOps role is going to flood you with applications, where it can be, you know, people who are actually paying attention to what you need, who can then actually help you with what you need. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, is that everything? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.